All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the call for tonight. And we are. I know it's a little late for some of you, and unfortunately, we had to cancel yesterday, and I had a few things. Well, it was my wife's birthday, so other than if you didn't want me to come and live with you, I couldn't do the call yesterday. So. Um, Welcome, and it's good to see everybody here. And we're going to get into some more PLR tonight. And as always, I like to start with any questions that you might have. I'm going to go through a few preliminary things, but as you think about questions that you have about PLR in particular, I want you to write them right there in the box. I'm going to cover a few introductory items while you start typing and while you think about that. And let's go ahead and get into the call. One thing that I do want to tell you about is something that we're going to be doing, and I'm calling it the 30 and 60 year end project. And what 30 and 60 is about is really going to be. I'm going to be taking some steps for my business, and I want you to take the same steps along with me for yours. I don't really care what your niche is. It doesn't really matter what your niche is. Doesn't have to be mine. Doesn't even have to be like mine. But regardless, you have to be built list building, right? And even if your client or your customer is a high dollar amount customer, maybe you'll really only need a list of 10 or 15. You need to be building that list. You need to be building that contact database. That's what we're going to do here for the next 60 days or till the end of the year. And we're actually going to do at least 30 activities. So we want to take 30 the next 60 days to do list building. And again, I'm going to be doing it for myself. I want you to do it for you. We're going to be taking those steps inside. Let's kind of go over a few things. We're going to be doing 30 concrete things to build your list. And again, while I'm actually going to be teaching this, I'm going to be doing it also. And full disclosure, I'll be telling you some of the things that I'll be doing as I do them, right? Because one of the areas that I'm building a list in is that I'm going to be doing some family based projects, or in other words, I'm going to be doing some things based on having family work with you, right? So that's going to be one of the areas I'm going to be building a list in. And so I'm going to need to do the same things that I'm telling you to do, because this is a niche that's new. We don't really have any customers in that area, right? Some of the people who are in our community right now, they might be willing to buy that product, but by and large, we don't even know where the market is. We know that there's an interest in it. We know that it's necessary. We know that it's something that we can talk about. We know we have experience doing it, but we need to build a list. Otherwise, what we're doing, of course, is we're chasing the sale. And as I talked about in my email, we don't want to do that for the entire year. Definitely not in 2016. So we're going to do 30 concrete things to build a list. We're going to talk about it in our Facebook group, and that's at facebook.com/groups/the PLR Show. So I think I put that in the email today. If you didn't get it, it's in that email. You can also access it today through the daily content link, right? And I think you can access it there. If not, just access it through facebook.com/groups/the PLR Show, and that is where we are going to get into list building. 30 things in the next 60 days, 30 concrete things in the next 60 days for you to build your list. And again, I'm going to be doing it along with you. And we'll take one step every day. Now, I'm going to teach on one step. You may not necessarily have to do that one thing. You just have to do something concretely, right? I'm going to give you suggestions. I'm going to give you tips. I might tell you what I'm doing that particular day. But one thing I have discovered is that if you don't, I know most of you, how many of you would you say you've already gotten to the point where you're doing something to make the sale every day? I know all of you are doing that. All of you all who are on this call, you're probably doing something to position yourself for a sale. So most, if not everybody on this call, if you're not physically asking for the sale every day, you're positioning yourself to do that. I don't think I have to tell you to do that. You're probably already doing that. One thing that we don't do and that isn't as obvious is taking one step every day to build your database. And this became, I think, religion to me. It became gospel to me upon going through product launch formula 1.0 and starting to get into 2.0. Even as that program, I actually bought that in 2009, right? 1.0. I bought 2000. I thought I bought 2.0 in 2010. And one of the things, and I haven't gotten through a fourth of the information, but one of the things that has been just hammered over and over and over again is that we have to be, right? We have to be almost zealous. We have to be almost rabid. We have to be just anxious, not just about making the sale, but we're buying a database of people that we can talk to until they're ready, right? Because not everybody who meets you, and I know I say this all the time, but I want you to really hear me on this. Not everybody who meets you the very first time or sees your squeeze page or sees your product, they don't want to buy from you right away. And sometimes you know, it takes a little while to get to know you. And if you don't get their contact details, you don't get them the name and email address, and start trying to, at least attempting to build a relationship, it's not as if you can't make money online. It's just really hard, right? Because every sale you make is going to be based on your effort for that day or that week or even that month. It's really going to be everything. You're really using the internet to cold call people and chase them down in hog time. Nothing wrong with that. I know it's effective. I know people do it. And if you know you're dealing with a high dollar volume high dollar amount product, that may be viable. It's just really hard if you don't have a list. And so I'm going to suggest the next 60 days, do one thing every day, concrete. Now, I'm not talking about, well, I read an article on list building. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about attending a webinar on list building. I'm talking about no matter what happens before you go to bed, right? You take a step every day. And I say this in webinars, and I want you to keep hearing me on this. Building your list, doing one thing to build your list is like putting on your oxygen mask the way they tell you to when you're on the plane, right? You can't do anything in your business. You can't make sales in the long run if you don't have a list you're growing, right? That doesn't mean that you can, and you know, they tell you that before you can help your kid or your aging parent or the person next to you, you put your oxygen mask on first. And building your list is like putting on your oxygen mask, right? You're gonna be hard pressed and out of breath to make sales if you don't have a list and you're not building it. And what amazed me about myself, right? My first few years of internet marketing. I mean, I can almost look at myself in the beginning and hear myself saying things like, well, I don't have a list, right? Instead of taking one concrete step every day to build one. So if you've ever said in the past, you know, I don't like the size of my list or I don't have one, you have to stop saying that. And I'm not talking about because of you know, like you know, the law of attraction kind of stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about stop saying that and just do something every day. Do something to build your list. Now, we're going to start these lessons. We're going to try to get them going on Periscope. And I finally went out and got an Android phone, and I just it hurt me to give up my Windows phone. But if I'm going to be doing Android and I'm going to be doing Periscope, I had to go get an Android. That's what I got. So now we will start these lessons on Periscope. Let me ask you guys a question, those of you who are here. And you can answer me in private. You can answer me in public. How many of you? And you can just be honest, because I can say that I can't even say that it was a true of myself all the time. How many of you take one concrete step every day to build your list? Right? If you do, I want you to put the number 1 in the question box. If you haven't done that in the past, but you like to start doing it, I want you to put the number 2 in the question box. So again, if you at this point, well, no, you know, Charles, I haven't done that in the past, That has not been the way I've done things. But I'd like to start. Put the number 2 in the question box. And if you're just flat out too busy right now, if you just feel like, I don't have time to build my list, put the number 3 in there. Okay, so number 1, I haven't done it in the past. I'm doing it every day. Number 2, I haven't, but I'd like to be. And then number 3, I'm just too busy. Leave me alone. All right, so we'll start that on Periscope. Okay, excellent, Steve. Glad to hear that. And we are going to be doing this one step every day and just talking about list building, right, for the next 60 days. And so let's kind of do this together. The goal, there is a goal, right? There's a goal, and I'll talk about this here at the end. Now, most of you have a niche that you work in. You either have a service that you offer, or you have a niche that you're operating in, right? And a couple of you, I know what your niche is, but not everybody. So if you have a particular niche, right? You have some people that you work with. I want you to just write that in the box there. And one of the reasons why I want you to write that in the box there is because I am always on the lookout for ways that I can help you to collaborate with each other, because I know for a fact that most, if not everybody on this call, is one collaboration away from making a really big splash, right? And most of us operate in darkness. Most of us operate in isolation, and I did it myself. And it wasn't until I really, and I seriously, I'm going to get to this in a minute, wasn't until I started attending events and collaborating with people that really and truly things started to grow. So always be willing to put yourself out there, in my opinion, so that people can know what it is you do, so that they collaborate with you. Yeah, you might get some folks who are going to, not necessarily value what you do, but that's part of the risk, right? You can't be anonymous in today's internet, not in internet marketing. Now, we'll also be talking about your marketing conference plan for 2016. And if you don't have a plan right now to attend at least 1 or 2 conferences next year, you probably won't attend them, and you probably will miss those collaborations, right? So even though that's not technically list building, we are going to talk about that one day, and we're going to be talking about the marketing conference plan for 2016. You need to have a marketing conference plan. Those of you who buy and sell on JVZoo, they're probably going to have a conference in April or May. Folks, it's right now, it's November. So you've got 5 months to get ready for it. And so you've got to, and if you have the opportunity to go, it's probably going to be in Florida someplace. You need to go. Really and truly, you need to go. And I don't care what you have to do to get there. If you got to drive, if you've got to fly, if you got whatever you got to do to get there, you need to get there and make collaborations to be there. So I'm going to get the calendar of marketing conferences. I'm going to be talking to people. When we get there that day, I want you to start putting some things on your calendar so that you can be there. Some of you are involved in offline marketing. There are at least 3 conferences every year that you must go to, right? There's the Cooch one out in Colorado. There's I think there's another one. I think that Brian Anderson and Sid, they do one. And there's typically one other one that these are things that you just need to go to. And you might say, well, I'm not creating products to sell to these people. It really does not matter. And it's not even necessarily about the things that you're going to learn. It's really about the networking collaboration. And you got to plan to go to these things. Right. I used to be a believer that I'm just going to get there. They're going to try to sell me stuff. Just going to try to sell me more information products. They're going to do that. Right. But that's a minor price to pay for actually getting to collaborate with people. So on the day that we do the marketing conference scope or whatever we're doing, or stream, or whatever we're doing that day, please do not miss that day. Right. Do not miss that day. An education plan for 2016. What are you going to learn new? Right? What new tools are you going to put in your toolbox? You have to start planning this now, and you have to start planning it so that it does not become an accident. Now, I'm not saying you can't buy information products and learn other things, But how many of you? And here's what I want to know. Just write it right here in the box. What is your bottleneck? Right? What is your bottleneck right now? Right? So if you know there's typically, with every internet marketer, myself included, there are typically two things that if you learned how to do them or how to implement them, they mean the world to your business. Right? So I want you to write that in the box. What is your bottleneck? Right? What are the one or two things that if you learn them, or if you had someone to implement them, or you figured out how to hire for them, that it would mean the world to your business? What's your bottleneck right now? Right? I'm going to say this. I'm going to go ahead and say now, we've got my bottleneck that I'm really, and again, I really addressed this year with my family, in getting them involved, is what my bottleneck was: research. Right? I can do great research. Right? When I put a product together, it is well researched. I just can't do it fast enough. Right? And the other thing that a bottleneck that I have is, really, I've got more courses than I have time to launch. Right? I've got to figure that out. I've got a level in terms of creating courses, high quality PLR, all that stuff. I mean, I can really do that extremely well. And I've got I've got a bunch of stuff. I've got more courses. I got time. So I've got to figure out how to spread out my production. Right? So, but what's your bottleneck? Right? I've told you mine. I want you to tell me yours. What's your bottleneck? What's the thing that you've got to learn, that you've got to figure out, that's going to mean the world to your business? And so you've got to put that on your education plan on purpose. Right? You've got to put that on purpose. If that means that the information product, it's not going to, listen, the thing that you need to learn, nobody's probably going to launch that product. The thing that you've got to learn is probably already out there. It's probably really expensive, and you're going to have to save the money for it, or plan for it and get it. Right? Don't wait for somebody to launch it. Figure out what it is now at the end of 2015, and then figure out as soon as possible to get it and implement it. So we're going to talk about an education plan in our 30 to 60 plan, and then your event plan. Whatever you're doing in internet marketing, whatever you're doing right now, you need to be doing your own events. Right? Whether it's a series of hangouts, whether if you're in a local area, you need to be doing your own events. You need to be doing an internet marketing conference, or a book writing conference, or something, right? Where you invite people to come to you online, where they can take part in what you have to offer, where you bring the speakers in, and all you're really doing is collecting a list. But this, when you do an event, right? When you do an event, people will make the association that you are authoritative. Because when you can get other people together that can help the people that are listening to you, you are going to have some of that authority rub off on you. And so you must do an event in 2016, right? You must plan for it. Even if you say, you know what, I'm going to do my event in October 2016, wonderful. But get it on the calendar and start planning for it. Even if you've got to build up to it, you still need to do an event. Well, Charles, my niche isn't like yours. I don't have to do a summit. Yes, you do. Yeah, it doesn't matter what your niche is. You need to bring together people who are knowledgeable, who can help the people in your community. Right? So an event plan for 2016. Okay, so any questions about that? Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing over the next 60 days. And I'm going to probably do it through Periscope. They're going to be brief every day. And we're just going to get into it. Are there any questions about what we're doing? Okay, anybody want to pipe in about what you feel like your bottleneck is? What is it that you feel like you're doing, or what you need to do, or what you need to learn? Is it list building? Is it traffic? Is it product creation? Is it determining where the market is? Is it, what is it, right? What is your bottleneck? What is it that you really need to learn to figure out for this year? Okay, so now, okay, yeah. One person says that they've got to really get into list building, right, and email broadcasting, and so that's got to be a priority, and so uh, in finding the right person and traffic. Okay, so finding the right thing that really does show you traffic, right? Planning for it, and money. I'm not going to say that that you can always just because you spend $2,000 for something doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be great. But I will say this: I paid $19.97 for Jeff Walker's product launch formula. I was talking about that earlier, and it's worth every penny of it right now. And I did that back in 2010. It's worth every single solitary penny today, right? I paid $500 for the copywriting course with Brian McLeod. It's worth every single penny. And so you don't need to be scared of big numbers. Here's why I'm saying we need to plan for this, so that you don't see something come out during the course of a launch and then need to get it. You need to, if you know traffic is a concern, you don't wait till a launch to address it. Right? I hope that makes sense. Don't wait till a launch to address the fact that you need to learn traffic. Start planning for it now. Look at the course you have to have. Look at the information. Look at the conference. I think Ryan Dice does traffic and conversions every year in August. Right? It's typically about $300. You need to be there if you can. Right? The only way you shouldn't be there is if you just can't go. But if you start planning right now, 9 months ahead, you can go. Okay, yeah. One person says traffic and JV affiliate attraction. Yeah, I mean there's stuff available on that, right? There are conferences to go to. There are conferences where the JVs are, and so learning how to do that isn't going to be hard. It's just typically it's going to cost a little bit, and if you plan to do it, even that's not going to be a concern. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what to do with a PLR package. And I always say that what people tend to teach you about making it over and then marketing it, that's a good plan, right? So you get a PLR product and you're thinking, okay, the very first thing I need to do is to do a makeover and some marketing, right? And I'm gonna try to pull this up here. And let's see. I'm gonna take my screen off screen share for a second. And I'm gonna pull something up here. I think I can do this. And I'm going to put you back on here right now. Okay, so you're looking at a PLR package that that I recommended this week, and it's the one for Twitter marketing, right? So let's just say that we were going to do this one, right? And so what do we have here, right? Let's take a look at this. So what you have here is basically you've got the ebook, you've got a cheat sheet, you got a mind map, you've got Twitter resources, and you've got sales materials, right? All that stuff, right? And I always recommend these packages because they're pretty cool, right? Just to have the whole thing. Okay, so you've got this stuff. And so now what are you going to do with this, right? That's the question. That's the question. So what do you do with that? So you got some solid information, and you got a video course. And so the question then becomes, okay, now that I have all, what do I do with it? How's it going to help me to make money? And I'm gonna start by talking a little bit about and what I'm going to be covering tonight really is just as much for you, those of you who are in the offline space, as it is for the online space, right? So my comments tonight are really applicable in both areas. I'm going to talk about that and address that right away. Now let me, I'm going to switch my screen back. Actually, let me do one more thing here. Okay. One of the things you have here you have some articles here, right? You have some articles and some email swipes. And I want to get to something in particular that you can do with those things that that I think is vital for you to start really thinking about when you start thinking about how to use this PLR. And so one of the things that Dave is mentioning here is that, you know, one of the cool things about, and one of the reasons why I always recommend Sajan and Justin's stuff is that they've got the graphics, right? And as a marketer, graphics can be a bottleneck. And because of the fact that you can use graphics, if you know how to use Photoshop, they give you the Photoshop things. If you don't know how to use Photoshop, you can use their graphics, and you can use those over and over and over again. So the graphics in and of themselves, right, are worth it. So that's just apart from trying to sell the PLR. That's apart from everything you're going to be doing to try to sell it. Just the graphics. David's absolutely right when he says that. Okay, so now let's. I'm going to go back here, and now I'm gonna take that. I'm going to take that down. And I want to go back to talk about this from the training perspective, right? So, okay, so let's just say all you did was you rebranded that package. Let's say that's all you did, and you did marketing plus a. Now that's cool, right? If that's all you did, that would be cool. But I think that there's something more that you can do with that. I think, right, that what you want to do, and this is what I do, and once I've actually completed the project, I'll actually show you how I've done this. Right, I plan to do that probably in the new year because I'm right in the middle of it right now. But when I use PLR, right, what I'm trying to do is solve a specific problem. That is a better way to use PLR. And I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. You use the PLR so that you do not have to recreate the basic information, right? And so you are there to solve a problem, and you want to spend your time focused on solving the problem. What you don't want to do is you don't want to leave people behind. If they need the basic information in order to get to the point where they can use your information, right, then you get the PLR to do that. So you solve the problem, you get the PLR to address the basics. Does that make sense? If that makes sense to you, I want you to put the number 2 in the question box. So in other words, you're using PLR for basic information to give on to the people you're either going to be selling to or teaching. And then you are going to add on by solving the more complex problem. Right? So if you understand what I mean when I say that, I want you to put the number 2 in the question box. If that's not clear right now, I want you to put the number 3 in the question box. Okay, great. Yeah, because and let's just say that you know, if you were in the offline space. Right now, one of the problems I know with let's say restaurants, right, is they need to be able to get more traffic, right? They need to figure out how to get more traffic, you know, to their special sales. So the question would be, okay, how do I use Twitter to get people to my lunch specials? Right? How do I get Twitter to, now? And you can address that in any number of ways. You can address that in in an audio course. You can address that in an audio giveaway. You can address that in a video giveaway. But then what's going to happen is you're going to have some restaurant owners who say, yeah, you know what? I can dig it. Right? That's the way I want to do. I want to be able to get more people to my lunch crowd. I want to do this with Twitter. But I have no idea how to use Twitter. I don't know whether to sign up for an account. I don't know how to get people to my Twitter account. So you are going to solve the complex problem, which is, how is this restaurant going to use Twitter to get more customers to their lunch specials? But you don't want to go back and recreate the wheel. You don't want to go back and tell them, well, this is how you open an account. This is how you're going to get people to your Twitter account. This is how you're going to get to add people. You do that with the basic information, right? You solve the problem of how to get them to the restaurant. If your niche is, and let's say my niche, okay, is content, creating content for people. So the problem that I would be trying to solve for people is, okay, now that they have their offer, right? How do they use Twitter effectively to get people to their offer, to their information product, right? Whatever it is. And so I'm going to be trying to solve that problem. I don't want to show them how to do the basics of Twitter, right? Because I want people to come to me for the more complex problem and not for the basic. Okay, so that's good to do it that way. It's better if you can solve a specific problem. Now, here's what I think is best. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Now, I think that you should be getting other PLR on Twitter. And again, we're just using this Twitter as an example. And you're gonna teach it, right? You're gonna teach it. Now, I know some of you all are thinking, Charles, I do not want to be on a call. I don't want to be on a webinar. I don't want to do all that stuff. But follow me on this, and just let me tell you what I think. Okay, now. What I suggest is, okay, where are you going to get this other information? Well, I would suggest that you go to either your local library or Amazon Unlimited, right? And there are some authors there who can supplement your information. Now, I'm not going to get in depth into that. I'm just going to say you can find some people who've written on Twitter, and they will help you to supplement your information in terms of being able to teach a course on Twitter, right? Now, I'm not talking about selling a course. I'm just talking about teaching one. So you don't have to put it up for sale. All you got to do is get an opt-in form and get people to opt in. And then once they opt in, you give them the link to your call. So you use Instant Teleseminar, you use Google Webinar, Google Hangouts, Webinar Fusion Pro, Webinar, doesn't matter which one you use. You just need to teach a class, right? Now, niche it down for your niche. So in other words, what do I mean by niche it down when you teach it? You need to teach this content specifically as possible. Right? And even if you only have 3 or 4 people on the call, right? Doesn't really matter, because it's going to be an evergreen call anyway. You're going to put this out in the search engines or on YouTube regardless. You need to niche this down so that you can eliminate the people that would have nothing to do with this. You want to make it a perfect fit for the people who are looking for information and need to find it. So when you get Twitter, right? Let's say your niche is chiropractors. And I'm focused on the. You want to focus on people who want to get traffic to their membership site, right? So you need to talk about then how to use Twitter to get people to buy your membership site, right? It really needs to be that specific. Getting traffic to your membership site using Twitter, not Twitter Unlimited or Twitter, how to use Twitter or how to be effective using Twitter. Niche it down. And it should be niched down to the area where you have expertise. Now, break it into 10 steps. Break your presentation into at least 10 slides or 10 steps, right? 10 steps on what they're going to do to get that traffic. 10 steps on what they're going to do to make the sale. 10 steps on what they're going to do to get more of a brand, 10 steps of what they're going to do to build a following using Twitter, whatever it is, right? Remember, so you got the PLR with the basics. You're supplementing it with other authors who've already written by Twitter or about Twitter. Now, when I say that, understand something. I want you to, and as I think Dana put it on one of my calls, you need to attribute, right? You need to attribute. So in other words, and there's no reason to plagiarize. You don't even have to write it as if you're somebody else. You need to, it sounds more authoritative anyway when you say that, hey, you know what? The author of Twitter Unlimited says this is what you need to do. The author of Twitter on steroids says this. Because you know what that says to your buyer is this. It says that you are a researcher. It says to your buyer that you didn't just go get this off the internet from 10 sites. It says you did a little hunting down. That's really why I say you need to use Amazon Unlimited, because you get the credit for being somebody who's doing research. Right? Does everybody get that? Right? Does everybody get that? If you get what I just said, I want you to put the number 3 in the question box. That's what you should be saying inside of your products, right? So-and-so, John Smith, the author of Twitter Rainmaker, says what you need to do is this. And you use Amazon Unlimited because it's digital and it's going to be easy for you to get the quote into your package, into your additional information. So that is why I'm suggesting to you that you're using Amazon Unlimited so that you can have authority by getting the authority from other people when you add to your package. Even if what you're doing is creating videos, right? It's authoritative for you to say that this author or this speaker says this is what you need to do. It speaks well of you. Okay, now that wasn't supposed to happen. Okay, now the rest of it. Get an expert if possible and do an interview. Right? Get an expert if possible and do an interview. Find one of the people on Amazon Unlimited. Get one of those authors and interview them. Right? Try to find somebody who can address your niche. If you can't find an author who can address your niche, I'm going to suggest that you go to, I think it's helpareporter.com. I'm going to type that here in the box. HTTP helpareporter.com. Right? Or I think it's also called Haro. You've probably heard me mention that in some of my courses or even on some of my calls. It's a great site. I've used it to great benefit. And that's really why I talk about it a lot, because I've really used it and it's really a benefit. Okay, now, what you should be doing with this content, with these slides, these 10 things, when you teach this course, it doesn't matter if nobody's on the call. Right? It doesn't matter. I don't care if there's nobody on the call. You're going to teach this on a webinar or in 10 videos, right? And it's better if you do it on the webinar, because you'll get the best out of yourself. And some of the things that you will think of when you're forced to think of them for a live audience will be better than what you could do if you sat down and actually tried to write a book for it. So I'm going to suggest get on a webinar, force yourself to be good. Force yourself to give people helpful information. Force yourself to answer their questions, right? And what you're going to do with that content, once that video is over, you will then have yourself an information product, right? And now what you do with that information product depends on your niche, right? You can use it as a put it on a DVD and use it as a giveaway. You can cut it up and make it into an information product that you're going to sell on Zoo or Warrior Plus. But what you're going to do with that course, that video course, is you are going to strip the audio, have it transcribed, and turn that into a Kindle short. Now, again, I don't really have time to get any more in-depth into that process, but that is something that I suggest that you do. Take that audio and turn it into a Kindle short. Then each of those topics, right? Remember, we just talked about the fact that you can do you should be doing an event. Each of those topics that you do in your summit, in your product, is the topic for a speech at a summit you do. Right? You can bring somebody in to address each and every one of those topics, because once you have actually divided your content into a product, you've probably done a pretty good job of thinking through it logically. Now what you need to do is get somebody to expand on that. Do a summit. And all you're really going to do when people come to your summit, right, is you collect the leads. Right? You collect the leads and promote the summit. Right? Now, the people who are going to be speaking there, they'll promote it too, but you collect the leads. Right? The only way people are getting to that summit is if they opt in. Right? And then, of course, yeah, you'll spread it out on social media. You'll do what you've got to do. But your job, right, when you do a summit, is to take those 10 topics, the same one you created, and to get people to talk about it. Right? Now, and so what you've done with this PLR product is you've created your own. Right? And all you've done is you have then taken the basics and you've said, well, I'm not going to worry about that. Now, here's in particular, unfortunately, I can't show you this. Remember I talked about a minute ago, I talked about the articles and what you're going to do with those. Now, I'm going to go back to this for a second. And I want to talk about this for a second because, again, this is very doable if you choose to do it. I'm going to need to bring this up again. Let's see. I'm going to bring this up again. Okay, now let me come back to this. Okay, so what do you do with these articles? Right? Do you just stick them on your website? What I would suggest to you to do is this. The articles all have titles. The articles all are peculiar in their own way. And the articles make great information products when you put them all together. So you typically don't necessarily have the rights when you get a product like this in order to remake the product, right? Or to edit it, but the articles you do. And most product creators don't care what you do with the articles anyway, right? When you get the articles, what you should be thinking about is, again, the same thing that we talked about with the PDF. These articles should be the basis of a product. If there are 5 articles, they should be the basics of your product. If there are 10 articles, they should be 10 basics, and you build on solving the problem. The same thing is going to be true with the email swipes, right? You use the email swipes in order to recreate your product, recreate them into a product. Okay, so now I could probably at another point I'll get into the physical aspect of how to remake this and redo and do a makeover. But what I want you to kind of get from this, right? What I really want you to kind of take from this is let's see. What I want you to take from this is one thing. I'm going to go back to my presentation here. Is that your product is equity and it is leverage, right? And when you have a product and you actually get to a marketing conference, right, you can say that you have something that you've done on Twitter. When you have a product, you have something to put on somebody's download page in order to build your list. When you have a product, you have something that you can combine with somebody else's in order to do a collaboration. So one of the reasons why I suggest I'm always going to be an advocate of, I don't care what your niche is, that you should be doing a product you should be creating products, whoever you're selling to. because some people will buy a 90 in some cases. Now, those of you who are, I know you there, some of you all are offline marketers here. I'm going to tell you a little story. Um, and now, you know, my wife would tell me all the time, because she had been in Mary Kay and she was a little more intuitive about this. And she would say to me, I did seminars, right, here in Harrisburg. And one I charged $997 for. Another was 2 hours I charged $97 for. And my point was, well, you know, I already charged them to get into the thing. They're not going to pay more for a product. And that was just not true. Right. And so when the seminar was over, people were saying, you know, you really didn't charge enough for this. Is there something else that we can take home that we want to buy with this? And these were business owners, right? Business owners want to buy products to help them to do marketing. They want to buy products that will help them to increase their business. Are they buying them the way we buy them? Probably not. But they like to get CDs and listen to them in their car. They like to get them and listen to them on their MP3 player. They like to listen to things that are going to help them to increase their business. Simple things. And many of these things are things that if you, as an offline marketer, right? I know there are several of you all here. If you as an offline marketer, if you can just niche it into a way that they can understand it, they will buy it from you. And you and I both know that not everybody who's going to be who you're going to be prospecting is going to want to buy services from you right from the start. Right. And so, but you should always have something to sell to them. And that was something, again, I did not believe until I actually did a seminar and they, you know, had a hotel ballroom. And I was just satisfied with the fact that they covered my cost. But I could have done really well if I had a product to sell. And again, these are not business opportunity folks. These are not internet marketers. These are small business owners, same people that that folks are prospecting every day. And it's certainly true in your local area if you are training business opportunity people or internet marketers or people who want to make money online. You know, so it's just really something to really start thinking about as you buy, as you start thinking about information product. Now, I do have a show only bonus on the download page of the Twitter, the Twitter marketing. I'm going to put it there tonight after the call. I've already got a pretty sizable bonus there, right? I've got a pretty sizable bonus. Now, for those of you who, and this is just to reward the people who actually come and watch the calls, because I appreciate you being here late night. Some of you all have already picked up this product. And if you do, then you're going to get an additional bonus. I'm going to be putting on the download page tonight. And it is a $300,000, I wish it was a $300,000. It's $300,000 article pack, as well as a video course on creating a matching opt-in page with Rights. So I'm going to be putting that on the download page tonight. If you already have the Twitter marketing course, you can just go ahead over to the thank you page or the download page, and it'll be there. You can actually pick it up. It's not going to be there after the night, so it's only for the people. It's only going to be there for the people who actually see this on the call. And then, if you have not picked up Twitter marketing, you can see my bonuses at superfastactionbonus.com/Sajan, right? And you can pick that up if you're watching this. You're watching this by archive. You can probably still go there maybe a day or a day and a half or so, pick up Twitter marketing, and it's a really cool package. I really like Sajan's stuff. I don't, and you probably notice I don't promote a lot of PLR guys. I do some, and it's only the guys that I really know, and I have their stuff, and I know that it's going to be something that I use, right? So I just know I'm not going to use it in the same way as everybody else, so I don't mind promoting that. You know, I'm not really afraid of anybody using it the way I'm going to use it. I have a totally different way of using PLR. I really just told you basically how I use it, right? I didn't tell you the exact niche that I use, but I did tell you how I use PLR, right? And I know it's effective, and I know it works because I do it, right? So for those of you who are looking to pick up a cool PLR package, you can pick up this Sajan's here at superfastactionbonus.com. You get my bonuses. And you also get my show only bonus tonight, where I'm going to be putting that $300,000 why do I keep calling it $300,000 article pack? $300,000 article pack plus the video course on creating a matching opt-in page to your sales page. All right, so any questions on the method I talked about tonight? Any questions on the 30 and 60 challenge? Any questions on PLR in general? Okay, I will be getting now. If you haven't signed up for the Facebook group, make sure you do that. I'm going to be announcing my scopes in there, and that's probably going to be the easiest play. I'm also going to be on Twitter. I haven't really figured out which Twitter account I want to use. And I was thinking about using. Does it have giveaway rights? That's a good question, Dave. Um, Let me see if I can find out the answer to that. Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know, Dave. Hey, so I'm gonna kind of search my hard drive while I do that. Do you have any other questions? Yeah, definitely PLR rights, Steve. The articles are going to be on the thank you page for my bonus for Sajan. So if you go inside of your JVZoo account and you click the link that leads to the bonus, then I'm going to put it on that thank you page. That's where I'll put it. Okay, and I'm trying to find out right now if that package has if that package has giveaway rights. I don't know the answer to that. But okay, any other questions while I run that down? It's not there yet, Dana. Yeah, I'm going to try to run that down right now. It's a pretty, oh God, I think I might have even downloaded again. It's pretty massive. Let's see. Let's see. I'm having. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay, let's see. It looks like it's definitely got private label rights. So I'm gonna just while we're on the call, I'm going to go ahead and just download it here. And then we'll see what we come up with here. Or I can just email you. How about that? I don't want to hold you on the call till I do this. I can just email you, Dave. Do I always rebrand the PLR? I rarely rebrand it. I always reuse it. And when I rebrand, see, because, okay, here's what I kind of think, right? If I rebrand it, that's fastest if I have an existing group of people who are ready to buy an information product, right? And so I think if that's the case, I think it makes sense to rebrand it and to either change it in some way and make it semi-unique, right? So what you're doing then by rebranding basically is you're not necessarily changing the title all the time. What you're doing is you're just kind of inserting your name when, you know, that's the case. I probably don't do that nearly as much as using it as part of research for something else that I do, right? And typically that's even if I do a product on the subject matter, like even if I do a product on Twitter, right? I typically will not, I will typically use the branding. I don't care about the branding, I guess, right? I don't. Because I'm not using it against the terms. I'm really using it as basic information that I'm going to use to build up into a bigger product. Does that make sense, Steve? Okay, any other questions? That's a great question, actually, Steve. Okay, let me see here. I'm going to take a look and see what the rights are to this thing. Okay, so the deal is I can pass on to you usage rights, but I can't pass on to you resale rights. Right? So that's the deal. Okay, can I explain about rights? Yeah, sure. Okay, so every product is different, right? Every product creates. So even if somebody says master resale rights, they can mean something entirely different than another guy. And that means something entirely different from, let's say, somebody who creates PLR videos, who could mean something different than what somebody says when they create PLR articles, right? Which is something entirely different than somebody who creates offline PLR. I create both. So when I say PLR to an offline marketer, it means something entirely different than when I sell PLR to online and affiliate marketers. Now, the rights typically define what it is that you can and cannot do with the content. In some cases, and I'm going to go over the most typical definition, right? This is typically what it means. When you get a product and it has master resale rights, that means that you cannot turn it into something and say you created it or change it. What you can do is you can resell it and you can give somebody else the rights to resell it. So that's master resale rights. Now, you can have resale rights. So in other words, I sell it to you, you have the right to resell it. What you don't have the right to do is to change it or to give people the right to sell it or resell it. So these are not master resale rights. I've given you, I pass on to you resale rights, the right to resell it. That means it goes one time, right? You sell it to your customers. There is what is called private label rights. Private label rights is basically that I'm giving you content that you're going to turn into a product or content of your own. You do not always have the rights then to resell it or to give people the rights to resell it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Typically, PLR is for you to create your own product, to sell not in the very same form, but to sell in a different form that you have totally changed. And then for you to put your name on it as if it were yours. So, and then there is typically some combination of those things in every product. Good question. You know what, Dave? I'll take a look at that. I very well might be able to do that. And if so, I will send the link to you, and then I'll put it in my email for tomorrow. But okay. So Steve, does that help you with the rights? So you have to look at every product and every certificate differently, right? In some cases, somebody just might say you have unrestricted rights. You can do whatever you want to do with it, right? And so you know, every rights product is different. Yeah, and so what's most helpful to me personally is private label rights. I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to sell something just the way somebody gave it to me anyway. Right? I might use it as a bonus, right? I might use it as a bonus, but I'm never going to use it and put my name on it at the same way somebody else did. I like Sajan and Justin, who put together their products. I don't have that much trust in them. And they put together good stuff, but I would never put my name on something that they did. Right? Unless I went through it and I changed it, number one, to suit my niche, number two, so it's saying what I think about business. Right? And that's coming from somebody whose products that I like. Like, I like these guys, but I still wouldn't do that with them. Okay. So everybody, well, thank you very much for being here. I certainly appreciate you as always. And again, for those of you who are going to pick up Sajan's package, I'm going to have that bonus on the thank you page, the 300,000 article pack. I didn't say the $300,000 article pack this time, the 300,000 article pack, plus the video course, creating a matching opt-in page with your sales page. Okay, so everybody, thank you very much for being here. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow.